game is an amateur game. I mean, the professional side of it, there are idols and heroes and fun to watch them play. But I mean, if it wasn't for amateur golf, there would be no golf.
You have to remember, when you play a golf course and you're out there for 4 hours or whatever, you're only hitting a ball for 15 minutes of that. So there's a lot of time to look around.
Hello and welcome back to the Top 100 Clubhouse podcast. I'm your host, James Henderson. I'm here with Jasper Miners, and this one we have something special.
Yeah, it's out of all the rankings that we do, especially in GB&I, Ireland, Northern Ireland, Wales, Scotland, England. England is by far the deepest ranking. So it's 100 spots. And the competition is fierce. And even once you get past 100, there's probably another 25 that are banging on that door. And the depth in England far surpasses almost everywhere else, including Scotland.
Well, that's it. It's there's a reason why we've done county level rankings for a number of years.
Yeah. So when it comes to county level, thinking about top 100 golf courses, kind of making this slight shift or a slight pivot, if you will, towards enabling trip planning for traveling golfers. Most people couldn't find Wiltshire on a map, even if you lived in England.
No, I couldn't.
And a lot of people wouldn't think about Surrey or Berkshire. Those are the two that traveling golfers are going to want. But then outside of that, no one really knows where these courses are in a county level. And even day to day, if you live in England, counties don't really have a bearing too much on day-to-day life. So in addition to the county rankings that we will have, we've got the national ranking for England, but we've also used different regions that I think will help a little bit more, especially with search, and have allowed us to do new rankings as well in England. So we have East England, East Midlands, London and South East, the Northeast, the Northwest, Southwest, West Midlands, and Yorkshire. I did those alphabetically because it's on my notes here on Excel. But you get the idea. If someone's traveling, they probably won't know Berkshire, but they probably will know London and Southeast.
Yeah.
And so the rankings will help you in a larger geographic area now, isolate and understand which courses you'd want to play.
I would love to see an American point to where Midlands is in England. I don't think I could. I might get it wrong.
And that's the interesting bit, because although it's the Midlands, which in your mind you would think it's right in the middle of the country, you've got Yorkshire above it, and then you've got the north. So yeah, it's again, geography is one of those interesting things, but certainly it's a lot better than trying to find where Buckinghamshire is. The other interesting thing with a lot of these counties is that some of them are quite strange shapes.
Yeah.
So you get bits and pieces of Buckinghamshire right down into London, and then you have it all the way out past Oxford. So, or even and as north as Milton Keynes. So it's a little bit of a better system for organizing trips geographically, and that's a nice improvement that we've made.
Well, that's it. You could be 2 minutes away from the best golf course in the area, but it's not in the same ranking.
Exactly. And so this allows us to compare courses in a geographic area a little bit better. So I think that's a really good step in the right direction. So a couple of things within the ranking. Obviously, we've spoken about this when we discussed Ireland and Wales. Some more rough and ready courses are moving up in the rankings, and then some more of the polished resort parkland type courses are falling through. So one of the big ones that we can let out is that the Belfry is dropped off the English top 100.
Well, we're about golf course architecture, right? It's not about how good your greenkeeping is. And no offense to Belfry, but they have a real problem with shit.
Yeah, well,
the goose shit.
Yes, there's a lot of wildlife.
Yeah,
of the feathered nature, and to be honest, it struggles with drainage, and that is true with a lot of inland golf courses that are built on clay, not just Belfry. So those courses that struggle in that way, will obviously move down in our rankings. Other ones will move up. One of the really cool ones that I thought that I loved, I've always loved Yelverton. And it's a Herbert Fowler and James Braid. So I think Herbert Fowler did an 18-hole course, and then James Braid came in later and I believe put in 4 holes. All 22 are still there, but they play the 18 with the 4 new James Braid holes near the clubhouse, and took off 4 of the Fowler holes.
And they're still
further
there.
away. They're still there. They're under Gorse and Heather.
Oh, right. Okay.
It was interesting. A few years ago, I was at the club and I had done some research on the course. And when I got to the club, they said, "Yeah, we can't really figure out where it was." So we ended up getting a load of maps out that they had in this like old cupboard, and just in an afternoon, we were able to figure out where they were. The interesting thing about it is that they had a fire across the heathlands, and it burnt out all of the gorse and a lot of the heather. But they were actually able to go and find the bunkers and the green sites and the tee sites on exactly where the map showed. So I would love to see those holes back. So maybe this is a bit of a plug for Yelverton, but it debuts, it goes in. And then again, kind of the cult favorites, the Cleve Hills, the Kingtons, the Yelvertons, those are all coming in and making a move up. So the other darling of the ranking this time around is the Addington. So GF Abercrombie's course in London, well, Croydon, everybody gets precious about whether it's in Croydon or London, around London, or we can just call it London in Southeast now.
Smart. See what you've done there.
But yeah, the Addington makes a massive move. Now, the thing with the Addington is they've done amazing amount of tree removal. They've got the short game area. They've got the new green. They've got like an alternative routing that opens up because of that. Their heather management and regeneration is coming along. Agronomy wise, the course is it's probably never been better. So this isn't going to be where the Addington stops. Like this is an ascent that's going to keep on going. And that there's all sorts of plans afoot. And Orion has got a lot in the works at the minute. And if some of the changes can get pushed through, it'll make the golf course even better. And that has to do with the routing, where various bits and pieces, starting points will be. So we bumped it up. It went more than 20 places up. It was already near the middle of the ranking. And then because it goes up in the English ranking, it also goes into GB and I, and we'll find where that is in a couple of weeks when we replace the region ranking. So the Addington's kind of the darling of this ranking, but there's still a lot of room for that to grow. Even just looking at the names above it, it can go quite a lot higher. And where it finally finds its place, is it going to be the equivalent of an All Woodley, a Hollandwell, a Woodle Spa, a St. George's Hill even? It has that potential. We'll have to see where they go, but there's a lot of people in the industry that can see the potential, see what's being done, see how good it is, and those heady heights are not out of the question.
And they've got the right people in charge.
Yeah, Ryan is obviously CDP is consulting there at the minute. Mike DeVries has done a lot of the shaping. Obviously, one of the best architect shapers in the world, and Ryan is just so invested. There's a guy that has educated himself like to the minutiae of every single aspect of that project. Is really the one that's pushing forward. This week we're at Trump, and you talk about owners who are invested in their golf courses and the difference it can make. There's an individual who's been able to see what he had, seen the potential there, and is basically just zealously pursuing it with like it's just passion.
Yep.
And it makes a massive difference. And I think because of that, everybody else gets excited too. And it's not, he's not excited because it's the prospect for golf and having that course restored. I think it'll probably become hopefully the Addington and St. George's Hill will be the two courses that set the bar for restoration work in London, in England, and probably, hopefully, the two courses that will set that standard and even bring the American standard to the UK of what it means to restore a golf course. So yeah, really excited about the Addington and brilliant that they're doing that work so well there.
Very good, very good. Is there any other surprises on the list, or
I wouldn't say surprises. Another course that everybody seemed to really be up on is Wallasey. We know that there's still huge plans at Wallasey. It's one of those courses that it does have some peaks and some troughs.
I would say that now I've played Wallasey quite a lot in my life. I'm fortunate that I have, and it's a great trip if anyone. I think society price is £100 or something, so it's quite reasonable for a golf course that ranks whereabouts. And
so yeah, Wallasey it's taken again not as high a leap as the Addington, but it does break the top half of the English ranking, and then that puts it in the conversation of, does it enter you basically have to get in the top 50 in England to have a chance of making the top 100 in GB&I.
So my thing about Wallasey, right, is if we're rating on golf course architecture, the genius of the routing at Wallasey to go in to the dunes and then come back and play the par fives on the flatter areas, so there's less golf played on the flatter areas as there is in the dunes. I think that deserves to be lauded. It's a very interesting routing because you come in and out of the dune that they don't have a huge amount of dune land.
No, and they use it really well. I mean, especially, that's the other thing. It's not, it used to be there, and then effectively the sand was sold. So there's all sorts of plans and proposals, and CDP is obviously making changes, not massive ones at the minute, but there has been a rapid ascent, and that's a reflection of a lot of the work that's been done that is just taken an existing course with untapped potential, and in its current format has done almost everything it can to kind of pick the easy fruit, to use a horrible expression. But the idea being that they've kind of maximized everything they can get at the minute. There's still obviously lots of work to do, but some of the big things that they want to do in the near future could push it like a lot higher. So, but I mean, 18 is one of my favorite holes. It is just an absolutely brilliant hole, kind of coming back up to the clubhouse through the dunes. It's fun. And Wallasey, I think what you'll see is that a lot of the courses that have done work and good work have gotten rewarded. So, some other ones, not just to pump the tires on CDP. Blackmore is done well. So is Hunter Coombe. Those are Tim Lobb projects. And we see this recipe. If golf courses are removing trees and they're getting things as simple as mowing lines right or better,
tidying up bunkers,
that type of thing,
and making sure green sizes are where they should be,
pushed out to the edges of the green pads. Those are the types of things that effectively, you should be doing them anyways. It's just good hygiene of a golf course.
Yeah, you brush your teeth in the morning. Why don't you?
This is the point. So it's investment. It takes more time, but if you're trying to present the best golf course or present your golf course in the best possible way, those are the things that you can do without having to hire in architects, shapers, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Those little things you should be able to get right if you have someone who knows what they're doing.
But the thing is, a lot of the simple tricks that we were talking about there are things that you can ask your head greenkeeper. You can discuss these things over a board meeting with your head greenkeeper. You don't have to have CDP or any of these guys that charge quite a lot of money to have consult.
Yeah, there's certain things that, Or if you have had architects, if you haven't changed your golf course in ages, and what I mean is rerouting holes or rebuilding things or changing bunkers. If you have an existing golf course, at some point you've probably had an architect who hopefully knew what they were doing, establish mowing lines, tree management, heather regeneration. If you've got a heathland golf course, you've probably got existing plans that show you where those things should be. And if you don't have a plan, inevitably things start to shrink.
The great examples when you see there's so many Colt courses, you see photos of them back in the day, and the width was wild in areas.
Absolutely.
And now it doesn't exist.
Yep. And I mean, and if this is an indication of, like, if it happens at this level, then it can happen anywhere. You go to courses like Sunningdale, Swinley Forest, and St. George's Hill. And
There's three of the best golf courses in England,
yeah, and
or golf clubs.
in the region and in the world as far as examples of that. But yet, even all of those 4 courses, they still struggle with the same thing.
Yeah.
To your point, the way that the architect originally built the course, how he wanted it presented, the decisions that he made, how he designed it to be played. And I think that's what you see, is that there's an inherent link between the architecture that's used in producing a golf course and then getting the agronomy right. And by agronomy, we need like firm surfaces, the right grasses, and then tree management as well. And all of those things weave together to get the most out of it. So you could have the most interesting, brilliantly designed green site, but if it is soft or too receptive to certain shots, things can, it doesn't play the way it's intended to. And that's where I think you have all these different levers that you're pulling on, that you're trying to basically get right.
There's going to be shake-ups in the lists when things get handed over and changed, and ideas of good golf change. And it felt like a wee bit like the English courses had been kind of resting on the laurels of previous rankings for a long time.
Well, and I think you're going to see that. So not just in the country rankings. So England, we've already come up with Ireland, and there's some big moves there. But you're going to see it as we go through the regional rankings. There's some surprises, and then the update for 2025 with some courses that were played in Oceania, so Australia, New Zealand, and some new courses in America that have debuted. We've taken the opportunity to almost push reset. And to your point, there's courses that, for example, and we hate to pick on the Belfry, but
it's an example of that style of golf course. There's tree-lined, clay-based holiday golf.
And it was, if we were to go back in time 25 years and they had just finished hosting whatever it was, the 5th Ryder Cup and, the European side or whatever it was, and you said, yeah, actually that course probably isn't even one of the top 100 courses in England.
Yeah, it would have been.
It would have been, but with the passage of time, things change, tastes change. And I think, especially for top 100 golf courses, we love history, we love tradition, but things like which tournaments were held here and played, which professionals played here, that doesn't come into it for us. So we are going out on a limb. I don't think it's a contentious thing to say that the Belfry isn't or no longer considered one of the top 100 in England. And as we said at the outset, there are still courses that don't make it in. We've got about 50 on the contenders list. And if you're invited to play any one of those golf courses on a glorious summer's day, you would have a brilliant time playing golf with your mates.
But I think the point is, if you get if those 50 get things right, moving forward, and make good decisions in how to maintain and manage their golf course, because golf is played on firm surfaces. You know, like if you look after your golf course, get the mowing lines right, manage the bunkering well, make sure the greens are on their whole pad. These simple things that we've just talked about can get those guys, those 50 contenders, into top 100 lists.
Absolutely. And
We're not greenkeeping. We don't talk about how good or quick the greens are,
no, not
but if the
important.
greens are the right size.
Exactly. So, and this is a good example. So maybe the best example in, the Addington has done like a monumental amount of work, and that's been reflected in the rankings, and it's good work. It's interesting. I was sent some photographs of a golf course on the continent that we won't name at the minute because I don't know if that was the finished product or if it was just but they had removed a tremendous amount of trees, and it actually looked worse after than it did before. If you would have looked at half the photograph, you'd say, well, that looks really good. But the way that the trees were removed, and I'm not talking about the methods, the fact was that when they removed the trees, they didn't thin the other ones. So you had like effectively really, really thick stand of trees that was kind of in the middle of the hole to the right side of it. And it was just dark. And then on the other side, you had basically like this open kind of sand scrape where they had moved thousands of trees. And I guess that's what we're trying to say. And that's why we need professionals. It's not just about going and if we cut down all our trees, then we'll rise in the rankings. It's about doing the right work, but doing it well.
Well, the tree stuff is all Augusta led, really. Done nothing against Augusta because the differences between Augusta and the tree line courses of Britain is we've got smaller trees, we've got plenty of scrubs, and in Augusta it's massive pine trees that are quite far apart from each other. So there's loads of room to play golf in between these trees, whereas if you go to a golf course in Middle England that has a left-hand side that's tree-lined, you'll find scrubs. You'll find there's nothing to play golf on.
And I think that's a good point to make. Like a managed parkland golf course is a lot of work.
Yeah.
And we don't have a lot of brilliant examples of that. But you're right. I think a properly managed parkland golf course, we talk about one of the ones that comes up is Stoke Park. So that re-enters again. So that's a good example of a parkland golf course. I had the privilege to play it. It was a great day out. Really enjoyed it, especially the front nine. Really, really interesting and solid golf course as you'd expect from Harry Colt. What's left of Colt's work is really, really good, and they've done work like renewing the bunkers. And look, it's renewing the bunkers is not going to push it like to the top of the ranking, but it's about doing those little things right. So the other one that I just wanted to pull out that I thought was really good, and it's probably an example of a golf club that it has a brilliant set of greens, and that's Sutton Coldfield. And they've done some initial work to a handful of holes a few years ago where they took out, again, a load of trees and scrub, and the heathland is really, really going again. And then they're continuing that work. And it's one of those courses where it's debuting in the England top 100. But again, its ceiling is still a lot higher. So, but the bones are really good. So if you have a good golf course and you want to move up the rankings, that's what we always get asked. How can we move up? All of the direction that we give to any of our panelists, and when we sit down and look at the rankings, we constantly refer back to are we actually using our ideals, or are we resting on the fact that we've always had this golf course in, and actually it doesn't match up with what we're saying is important?
Completely agree. Well, thank you very much for listening to this England Top 100 podcast. If you want to check it out, just go on the website or on our socials, and you'll hear from us next week. Thank you very much.